Hello everybody, it's Mrs. Prickett and I'm so excited to be able to team up with your teacher today to show you a very cool science investigation about adding and removing heat to matter. Now I don't have my dry erase board with me today because I am in my kitchen. That is where I'm going to be getting my heat from today. So I have my stove, I've got my oven mitt to protect my hand, and I've got the burner turned on and it's adding heat to this bowl of chocolate. And that's all it is inside, is this bowl of chocolate. I broke it up into pieces, but it's still chocolate, I promise. So right now, before the heat gets added, what state is the chocolate in? Can you remember? That's right, it's solid. And when I put this solid into the bowl, it keeps its shape because I can take it right back out and it's exactly the same. Now, we are adding heat to this solid chocolate, and I want you to predict. Go ahead and make a prediction about what you think is going to happen to the solid chocolate when we add heat to it. Okay? Hold that prediction in your head, and we'll have to see what happens in a minute. Let's go ahead and review some things while the heat is being added here. Let's review what we've learned about matter. We know that matter has 3 states, right? We've got solids, liquids, and gases. We know that solids keep their shape no matter what container you put them in. We know that liquids take the shape of the container you put them in. So if you were to pour water from this flat bowl and put it into a tall, skinny vase, it's going to change its shape. And then we know that gases also take the shape of their container, but they don't just take some of the shape of the container, they take all of it. They fill the shape of their container. All right, so I'm adding heat to this chocolate, and I'm going to go ahead and show you a sneak peek of what's happening here. Here's my spoon. Can you see it? It's all shiny and glistening. What do you think that's happening to it? What's the word for what's happening to it? That science word. What do you think? That's right, the chocolate is melting. When we add enough heat to a solid, it's going to melt. Now, I've got quite a bit of chocolate in this bowl. I know, lucky me. So it's going to take a little bit more time, but it's already melting a good amount. Now, as it melts, does it stay solid or does it turn into something else? Let's see. Here's an example. Ooh, can you see that? I don't think it's holding its shape anymore, is it? So if it's not holding its shape anymore, I don't think we can call it a solid. What does that mean that it is? Well, is it filling the bowl all the way? Nope, it's not filling the bowl all the way. So we know it's not a gas. So that must mean when we add enough heat to chocolate, it changes from a solid piece of chocolate into a liquid. Okay, now I'm moving it around so that it doesn't end up burning on me. And then we're gonna do the next step of our investigation. So we know that when we add heat to chocolate, which is a solid, it melts and turns into a liquid. The word melting is what happens, or what it's called, when a solid changes to a liquid. All right, so this part of our investigation has been about adding heat. The next part of our investigation is going to be removing heat. Now sometimes you might hear that called cooling or cooling things down, but really you're not making it colder, you're taking away the heat. Scientifically, that's what's happening. There's not really any such thing as cold. It's just more heat or less heat, kind of like how there's more density or less density, right? Okay, so it's almost ready here. I think there's a few tiny solid bits, but most of it is liquid. I'll show it to you here. See that, how it pours? Okay, so we're almost done. We've added heat to the solid chocolate. It has melted and turned into liquid solid. So, before I show you what we're going to do next, I want you to go ahead and make your predictions again. If we're going to remove heat from this liquid chocolate, what do you think is going to happen now? If when we added heat, it melted and turned into a liquid, what is the liquid chocolate going to do when we remove heat? Make your predictions, and while you're predicting, let's go ahead and test the temperature of this chocolate just to see what it is. Oh my goodness. It's still climbing, those numbers are climbing. This is hot stuff, that's why I've got my oven mitt on. All right, it moved already, but it went up to 172 degrees. That is pretty hot. Now to remove heat quickly, what we're going to do is I'm going to just pour it over ice. So I've got a tray of ice here. I don't know if you can see it. Bring it a little bit closer. See that? And I've got a pan full of ice. And I'm going to take my liquidy chocolate. Ooh, look at that. And I'm going to pour it over the ice to remove the heat from it real quickly. I hope you made your prediction about what's going to happen when we pour this liquid chocolate over the ice to remove the heat. See if I can get that all in there. There we go, good enough. So we added heat to the solid, it melted and turned into a liquid. Now what we've done is we have removed heat from liquid. So what was your prediction? What did you predict was going to happen? Let's see. Did it fill the space of the pan? No, it didn't, so it must not be a gas. Did it keep its shape? Well, not at first, did it? And did it take the shape of its container? At first it sure did. So now, let's see if I can get this out of here. Oh, look at that. The liquid ice took the shape of, the liquid chocolate took the shape of that ice cube and turned into a solid. So now if I put this ice cube shaped piece of chocolate onto that pan, it's going to stay the same. If I put it into my hand, it's going to stay the same. So the liquid turned back into a solid when we removed the heat. Let's see if I can find another example here. All right. Oh, here we go. See how it's holding its shape? When we removed the heat from the liquid, it turned back into a solid. So what's the science word for that? Remember, my hands are all a mess, I know, isn't that fun? Remember when the solid turned into a liquid, we called that melting. Well, what's it called when a liquid turns back into a solid? When we remove enough heat and it goes from a liquid to a solid. What do you think? What's that called? That's right, freezing. What we did is we removed the heat from the liquid chocolate and it turned back into a solid, which means that the liquid chocolate froze and turned back into a solid. Isn't that fascinating? All you need to do this activity at home is some chocolate that you can melt. You can do it over the stove like this with your parents' help, or you could even do it in a microwave. And then you can pour it over some ice and see what happens for yourself. I hope you enjoyed this investigation.